What does the month of October 2025 hold for us, our future, and the future of our amazing planet? Well, friends, October is going to offer up great opportunity for new beginnings. While on the global stage, this month is going to be jam-packed with more explosive, game-changing events. This new fight for freedom that's going to play out on the world stage with more uprisings of people, huge reveals in our skies and in outer space, as we step into this one vibration of new beginnings in the month of October. This can and absolutely will be an amazing month, but that's only if you're willing to take advantage of these incoming energies and transits, which I'm going to break down for you today. So what else could we expect in the month of October? Well, October is a month of another awakening on new levels, especially when it comes to truth, justice, lies and deception, friends. It's no longer going to hold strong. The lies can't hold strong, the deception can't hold strong, and it's all coming out. Along with amazing new advancements in health and cures for diseases, new conflicts being ignited, unfortunately, a discovery beneath the sea, major cyber attacks, and so much more. So today, friends, I'm going to break down October 2025 into three categories. First, the numerology, along with October's powerful one vibration and this 9 universal year that we're flowing through, what that all means and how you can take advantage of it, along with specific visions and predictions from my team of awesome spirit guides and angels. This is my October 2025 forecast and predictions. First, a big, gigantic happy birthday goes out to all our October Libras, along with our late October Scorpios. Happy birthday to you all. And if you do happen to have a birthday coming up in the near future, you're definitely going to want to check out my video, Most Powerful Day of the Year, because your birthday is the most powerful day of the year. And that's only if you know how to take advantage of it, leading up to the weeks prior to your birthday and especially the day of your birthday, that magical day. I will leave down below in the description and up above the video a link to the most powerful day of the year so that you can take advantage of it if your birthday is coming up in the near future. And again, big happy birthday to all our October Libras and Scorpios. Welcome to October 2025, friends, a month of rebirth through completion. We're in the one universal month backed by the 9 universal year of endings, making October 2025 a divine moment of new beginnings within this context of sacred endings. As we enter into this one universal month, we are gifted with this energy in this willingness to take the initiation, this energy of innovation, personal leadership, yet it unfolds, of course, in the backdrop of that 9 universal year, which has been guiding us all throughout this year in helping us to release the past, complete karmic lessons, and to make peace with the things that no longer align to our fullest potential. The duality brings this profound power with it. The number one always whispers to us, it's time to begin again. It's time to start all over. But now we got that number 9 whispering in the background. Make sure you do so with the wisdom of the past. It's a new beginnings, but take that wisdom from the past and setting down those new foundations. Because this is a month where soul-led individuals are going to rise to this whole new clarity, this whole new consciousness, and things are going to become much more clear. You're going to be able to see things more clearly than you have been in the past few months. Especially last month, I see this with clients constantly where they're at this crossroads of not knowing what to do next or where to go next and where am I going to go and what am I going to do next while making endings happening at the same time. Did you notice that in September when you were in the double 9 vibration? The 9 universal year, 9 universal month. Last month was a big month of endings, September, to make way for these new beginnings. Remember, the one vibration is like you're being born all over again. So you're going to be a little bit ADHD this month. So make sure you keep yourself grounded. And you may feel this internal call to launch a new project, take this sudden leap of faith, or declare your truth more boldly, which we are going to see playing out on the world stage in a major way. People really, wanting their truth to be boldly heard, which it needs to be. Great time for that. Great time to launch new things, even new agendas or objectives when it comes to even protest and standing up for our rights and freedoms. Now, again, this echo of the 9 vibration in the background, that makes things even more interesting because it's going to remind you to let go. Let go of your new path and take this new path and may it be built on the ashes of the old and all that you released instead of trying to resurrect something. This isn't a time to resurrect things. It's a time to build upon the ashes of that which has collapsed, fallen, and burned to the ground. So take that metaphor for yourself and utilize that to the best of your advantage this month. Now, collectively, October is going to bring this global initiative that's going to really rise from the ashes. There's going to be shifts politically, justice-based reforms, humanitarian responses, and a return to these visionary leaders, which we really need more visionary leaders that have a vision that's for the people and not for the global elite. Now, it's kind of the calm after the storm, but also the calm before the next storm, so keep that in mind. So there is this calmness. There is this moment right now where you may see leaders begin to actually step forward and do so with some purpose. We can see some new alliances taking form and some old systems continue to crack in the background of that 9 vibration, and things are going to continue throughout this year to collapse and fall. That's why we see people being taken out, leaders falling, resigning, systems being closed, people leaving their jobs or businesses. It's all part of this big collapsing of the systems before something big and new goes in next month and next year. Remember, October is always a reflection of next year, so you always want to do things in October that you want more of next year. So use that one, start something new this month, and next year you'll definitely pick it back up if you don't keep up with it, whether it's an exercise routine or a new health, new patterns, new business, whatever it may be. So use this month to plant your seeds for your next evolution. And don't do it in a rushed way. Don't be reactive, but be reverent. Be very reverent. Ask yourself, who am I now that I have let go of what I used to be? Because you're not exactly who you were when you stepped into this year. Have you noticed that already? Have you noticed the changes? Changes in your thinking, the changes about how you go about things, and the things that you still want to change? And now is the time to be willing to make that change and start this. This is a very magical new cycle that we can take advantage of. So align your actions with your soul, with your visions. And your visions, you have to put into service. You got to make it happen, friends. This is the month to make it happen. Remember, it's all about beginnings and blessings. And you bless those new beginnings. So the universe is wide open right now. But only for those folks that are willing and brave enough to actually step into the light of this new story that's opening up for us in the month of October. Again, this month offers up great new opportunity. To help you flow through October with even more ease and joy, here's some of the do's and don'ts of the one universal month while still, again, that 9 universal year in our backdrop. The themes of this month are going to be new paths, but also new paths from sacred closures. So one of the important do's of this month is, of course, to start something new, friends. Of course. Start something. Start anything new. Do something you haven't done before. Get your feet wet. If you never got your feet wet in that pool before, stick them in this time. Because this is the month to really take the initiative, to begin a new habit that's a positive habit, to begin a new project, business idea, your healing journey. So let rebirth be intentional. Let it be inspired. And as I tell you all the time, be bold, be true, be kind, be you. This is a month to live by that. Be bold in your authenticity. Because remember, the one energy thrives on self-expression. So speak up. Speak up, show up, and trust this unique vision that you are creating for yourself and for your future. Remember, you're being called to lead from the heart and from the heart chakra. This would be a good month to work on some heart chakra work. This is also a good time to make your decisions independently. Remember, it's the one vibration, not the two, duality. It's the one. So do things independently. Trust in your own inner compass and your own inner intuition. Leadership energy is going to require you to listen to your intuition and take this aligned action. Even if no one else understands yet, it's okay. They don't need to understand you. It's hard to understand others as is, wouldn't you agree? So honor what you have outgrown so far in your path. Use the wisdom of this 9 vibration, especially to let go and let go with love and blessings, knowing that with endings come new beginnings, friends. Big, big new beginnings. So take some inspired risks. This is a yes month. This is a month to really say yes to you and to say yes to things that really excite you, that make you joyful. This is fertile ground, friends, for this destiny level of change. So take advantage of it. These are the important do's of the one vibration. Now moving on to the important do nots, the don'ts. First, by starting by not dragging the past into this new beginning. Let it go. Let it go, friends. The 9 vibration energy is still completing its work in the backdrop. So don't start something new while clinging on to something that hasn't yet been completely released. And don't doubt your voice. The number 1 teaches sovereignty. So don't seek constant approval or permission from others. Instead, step into your truth, step into your power. And even if others don't get it or don't like it, that's their problem. That's their issue, not yours. And don't restart what already ended. It ended. Don't restart it. So if you ended a relationship, there's a reason for that. Don't turn back. Move forward to the new road, to the new paths. And I know this is going to resonate with many people listening to this right now. Even if it was a career that came to an end, or you might refer to it as a job. Well, likely the universe is saying there's something new and better out there for you. Don't turn back and go back and do the same thing again. Look for something new. And do not let fear stop you, ever. That's that little devil on your right shoulder. You got to acknowledge him. You got to put him into check. Make sure that he's not talking you out of things with that fear. This is a month of perfection. It is a month for starting, learning, and growing forward. So don't try everything at once. Remember, it's one thing at a time because it's the one vibration. So choose one clear path and go all the way, friends. Go all the way. Let purpose, not pressure, guide your pace. And if you follow along with the simple tips of the one vibration with the backdrop of that 9 vibration for the universal year, it can help you flow through this month, not only with ease and joy, but with this new aligned purpose and excitement for the future that lies ahead, especially moving into the next year. October is a launch pad for your soul's chapter. So trust the timing. Trust the timing, lead with courage, and walk through new doors with love and gratitude as the ones behind you close. Some of them might slam, and that's okay. Now moving on to our October 2025 astrological forecast and the transits and how they can affect you, how you can take advantage of them, and how they're going to affect the collective and play out on the global stage. On October 1st, we have Mercury in Libra squaring Jupiter in Cancer. This is when mind versus emotion and strategy versus sensitivity. This alignment is going to bring, friends, it's going to stir up a whole bunch of misjudgments. Don't get yourself caught up in that web. And you're going to notice this, not just on the first, but in days following that. Also be aware of overpromising. Whether you're promising something and overpromising something to someone else or vice versa, and they're overpromising to you, expect that. Don't expect promises to be held very strongly, including your own. You're going to see emotional exaggeration. We know how that, especially when it plays out on personal and global conversations. And this is where diplomacy is really going to be needed when it comes to relationships, when it comes to the media, and of course, politics. So the 1st of October is a really good day to just pause before reacting to anything, especially if it's anything to do with news, the media. Don't go start and typing in comments. Wait, let it play out a few days when it comes to news or even family matters. You don't want to jump in and react to things. Instead, just put yourself on pause. And that'll help you flow through this alignment with ease and joy as October kicks off in a really interesting way, to say the least. Now, when it comes to the world, the reflection on world events, this transit is amplified. It's like amplified rhetoric when it comes to justice, family, and even national security. That's a big one. And you notice how the White House just put all those big fences all around it again recently. Maybe they know something's coming that we are not aware of. Global leaders, you're going to see totally, they already do this, but they're going to exaggerate their promises, especially around domestic welfare, security policy, peace agreements, what have you. So I wouldn't trust any agreements or promises in the first week or so of October. Definitely wouldn't, especially with this transit. And this is another thing that we could see, and likely will, is a lot of public debates over housing. This could be happening in your neck of the woods where you live. A lot of public debates, of course, over immigration, a lot of protests over immigration, family rights. And be aware of very exaggerated news headlines. A lot of misinformation in this first week of October. A lot. So be mindful, friends. There's this heightened diplomacy when it comes to international summits as well. So again, October starts off in a very interesting aspect and a very interesting transit. On October 6th, we have Mercury entering Scorpio, but we also have October's full moon in the sign of Aries, and a powerful full moon it's going to be. It's when truth meets power, friends. Mercury in Scorpio, that of course is going to extremely heighten your intuition and also investigative thinking. And we see that already going online towards the end of September with the whole Charlie Kirk thing and people investigating it and doing their own little investigations. But we're going to see this on a much larger scale as we get to that full moon on October 6th. A lot of investigative, not just thinking, but people outwardly showing you their investigative skills. So really interesting. And intuition. So we have to take whatever they're investigating pretty seriously and what they discover, because a lot of intuition is going to go into this. And remember, we start to feel that energy of the full moon a couple days before. So I'd say by the 3rd, we're feeling it. And we could be seeing these things coming in, your heightened intuition, and again, this investigative thinking and action taking place online. So I would expect to, of course, hidden truths to rise once again, big time, whether it's both in your personal life or whether it's globally on the global stage. Now, the full moon in Aries, that brings emotional breakthroughs around your self-worth, your independence, decisive action, really powerful full moon. Now, globally, the global themes, well, it's where the heat gets turned up a bit when it comes to politics and the political arena. Like it can't get turned up any higher as it already is. This is going to bring about very fiery protests. So look for a very fiery, very police breaking down on protests, and also military escalations that are going to spike. But I feel like they're temporary. And I'll talk more about that later in this broadcast in my specific predictions and visions. Overall, how should you take advantage of this? Well, first, express your truth boldly, friends. Be mindful. This is a day for cutting cords. It's a day for ending toxic patterns, for claiming your personal power. It's a full moon, too. Remember, it's about letting go. It can be very powerful for healing, too. Take advantage of that for healing. Light a blue candle. Let it reflect on the healing that you want to take place in your life, or someone else. Put their name under the candle if you're sending them healing. Now, on the world reflection, this day again is going to mark off this new tension. Right there, I feel like this new tension, it's like a turning point of tension. This is where we're going to see secrets surface. You know what it makes me think of? Like WikiLeaks, when they released all of Clinton's emails, for example, that pops in my brain. So I don't know if something's going to come up being released around the Clintons, or if this is an example. A lot of times things will pop in my mind that relate to what's going to happen. So maybe somebody's server is going to be hacked. Maybe, I don't know if WikiLeaks still does drops. Not that I haven't heard of any in a long time, but I don't really follow that. So a lot of secrets are going to surface. And again, that can affect you on a personal level too, not just in the world. We'll see a lot of hidden motives revealed, where we find these hidden sleeper cells, for example. I had this motive or these people that were going to play out some kind of pow-pow event being revealed. So that's always good to get these things before they actually happen. Bold actions are going to erupt big time on the world stage, though. I would tell you to think about cyber leaks, major uprisings again, and truths that come out in politics that are like volcanoes erupting. It should be really, really interesting. Now, other potential events, of course, when this full moon comes around, and we're going to see whistleblower stories come out, exposing, the protests could go very violent. So let's hope not. Peaceful protests, please, only. And a lot of government backlash. The other thing to be aware of during the full moon, because of the Aries and the Mars, that all equals fire. So there can be a lot of natural fire-related disasters that start to take place again a couple days before the full moon, say the 3rd, the 4th, into maybe the 11th or 12th. So maybe even a little further until we get to the new moon. So be aware of that and be cautious and mindful if you're cooking or doing anything with fire. On October 7th, we have Mercury in Scorpio squaring Pluto in Aquarius. This is where shadows are exposed, friends. It's mental transformation unlike anything, because this can be a really intense psychological transit. This is where secrets, manipulation, power struggles all come to the surface, especially in the government, corporations, and global institutions. So I would tell you to expect big leaks, shocking revelations, and even cyber developments. Those leaks begin on the full moon on the 6th. So on the 7th, I would expect there to be a big drop of some sort. Some kind of truth leak. Again, especially around governments and corporations and global institutions. And maybe some shocking revelations that drop on the 7th. And of course, that'll go for days after that too, but especially on the 7th. Now, how to use this to your advantage, I would tell you to dig very deep into your subconsciousness. We could do this in many ways. Meditation, of course. Meditation and dedication. Take some time to do some journaling, because this is also a brilliant day to seek out some therapy or just to have a really transformative conversation with somebody. Now, when it comes to reflecting on the world stage, this Mercury is all about mass communication, represents communication. So this is going to collide with global power structures because of Pluto. This is a information war signature. So deep, transformative dialogues can occur during this. But again, remember the psychological intensity of that. So when it comes to potential events, this is going to be bringing, again, big leaks. In data breaches, we're going to see a lot of data breaches that involve AI, surveillance, or government tech. Now, we see that with the United Kingdom right now. They want to drop that digital ID, and they want to require you to have that digital ID. Oh, that's not going to go over very well. People in UK are going to flip, as they should. But with this alignment coming in, yeah, friends, leaks and data breaches that involve AI, but it also rules surveillance, government tech, and surveillance is what that whole digital ID is all about. People aren't going to like that. So be aware of the psychological warfare that they may use against you. The propaganda conflicts. All this comes into play with this alignment on the 7th. Oh, wow. Wild stuff, friends. It's going to be interesting. Not only that, there's a lot of revelations that come out of this when it comes to powerful institutions. Universities come to mind. So powerful revelations around universities, schools, and also a lot of disturbances that can happen around the financial markets. So I would expect some big downs or drops in the financial markets right around that particular alignment. On October 13th, we have Venus entering Libra, along with Pluto going direct in Aquarius. This is where balance finally gets a little restoration, friends. Collective destiny reboot, we can call it. This is where Venus in Libra is feeling right at home. This is going to emphasize on things like beauty, relationships, diplomacy, justice, and this is going to actually soften. We hold in the light, really, really softens these global tensions that are going to take place in the first part of the month, the first week. And then as we step into, of course, November, but we'll talk about that before we get to November. This can also bring more harmony to partnerships, which again on the global stage could bring harmony to peace negotiations and such. Pluto going direct after months of retrograde, this is going to unleash this massive forward momentum when it comes to technology, social systems, social media, human rights, power dynamics, and the collective as a whole is ready to evolve. And this alignment's all about getting us ready to evolve. Big things are coming before the end of the year. By the time we step into January, things are going to be much different in a good way. It's just that rough road that we're going down in that patch, especially in November. But remember, this month of October is breathing space. It's new beginnings. Now, you can make the most of this by leaning into a little bit of collaboration, be a little heart-centered, during this time. We should always be heart-centered, but especially during this time. You may want to launch something new, especially around art. Maybe launch some new style, do a new hairdo, or dye your hair a different color. Something like that. Wear a different outfit. Do something exciting. Bold. I just kicked the camera. Sorry if it just shook. I do that all the time when I stretch my legs out. Sorry about that. Also, it's about relationship healing. So take time for some relationship healing and taking advantage of that. Now, the reflection on the world stage and potential events could be, hopefully, that we see peace talks, maybe even some public apologies, probably not coming from leaders, but public apologies. We can also see some court rulings when it comes to things revolved around women's rights or family rights or the family. There's going to be some shifts that take place in monetary systems, hopefully for the better. I don't know why, but Japan just came to my mind. So Japan shifts in your monetary system, in your money, your whole system, with this alignment coming in on the 13th. Not that it's happening on the 13th. It could happen within a week or so after. But yeah, this is going to have a big role in that. And it's also going to be, unfortunately, the return that could happen. It could bring peace talks, but at the same time, it could also bring up past conflicts or agreements. But when they do come up, it's so that we can renew them. And we also have that one vibration to help things renew things too. So this could be a really good alignment. Even for the monetary systems, and the shifts in those monetary systems can be very positive if we hold that in the light. On October 17th, we have the Sun in Libra squaring Jupiter in Cancer. There's more water for you, friends. More water. Like we don't have enough. Like that indicates, again, more flooding, more water events, but also a lot of emotions. So October 17th's transit is overextension versus balance. This is where boundaries truly get put to the test. This is a day where ego inflation and emotional overwhelm can really clash with each other. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out on the global stage. Now, even in your work environment, that comes to mind too. So governments, public figures will likely overreach as they do, but this time we'll be able to see that overreach. I would say be very cautious of any promises that seem to be too big, or even financial imbalances. Like they say, if it's too good to be true, it's probably not true. Now, on the personal level, be sure to honor your limits. Be sure to honor your limits and protect your peace, especially your peace of mind. Now, to navigate through this, I would tell you, as I always do, stay grounded, get outside, connect with nature. Don't take on more than you can actually carry or more than you can handle. You'll regret it. And don't lose your center in others' emotional tides. Just do not step into their emotional waters, friends. Stay out of their waters. You'll be glad you did. Now, on the world stage, this transit can bring, again, political overreach. A lot of judicial bias that can go on and will go on. And this is where egos meet emotions. It should be really interesting on parliaments and stuff. I could just see them all yelling and bickering at each other. So that should play out really interesting with egos and emotions. Oh, that'll be a nice little show to watch, right? Maybe they'll win an Emmy or an Oscar. So leaders may also appear to be noble, but of course they're going to be acting in self-interest as they usually do anyway. But it'll become more obvious, of course. This is also where legal systems and family values can also clash, unfortunately. So there's likely going to be some very controversial court rulings that come in around this time, the 17th and days following. Controversial court rulings. Maybe we'll see, what was his name? I can't think of the guy's name. Luigi. Maybe we'll see a court ruling and him getting off. Or maybe we'll see the other one that just allegedly shot Kurt getting off. Just a potential thought. I think if anything, they're going to take that young man out so that he can't talk. But that's a whole nother story. We'll get into that with predictions later. Controversial court rulings, religious debates, especially around gender roles or parental rights. That pops in my mind too. Schools. We can see school walkouts, especially younger schools, not in the universities, but like grade schools and such, and see teachers walking out or students, high school students walking out. Interesting. So we'll have to keep our eyes open for that. That just came to my mind. And as you know, maybe you don't know if you're new here, but when things pop in my mind, they're always the things that really hit fast. Now, also remember, the government's going to do a lot of overpromising and overspending on national issues when we get into this alignment. Like, they don't spend enough darn money on these conflicts, but this is going to become an issue when this transit comes into place on the 17th. On October 21st, friends, two good things. One really good thing happens, and then the waves start to crash on the shore from the coming storm. That coming storm is at Mercury retrograde, which doesn't happen until November. But on October 21st, we step into the pre-shadow of Mercury retrograde in the sign of Scorpio. So look out, Scorpios. But we also do have the new moon in Aries, and that's going to be quite delightful because that's all about this rebalancing of energy that's going to come in. That's something we're going to need right around then, too. The new moon always opens up new doors. This new moon is going to open up a new door to intentional relationships, contract realignments, and this soul-level harmony that's just going to be lovely, especially if you play along with it. It's a very potent time, like all new moons, to set your intentions. But with this new moon, you want to set your intentions around partnerships, fairness, beauty, and even relationships, which are also partnerships. Meanwhile, aside from the new moon, again, we have Mercury's pre-shadow retrograde in Scorpio, which is suggesting to us that what you start now can evolve again when Mercury retrogrades, which is going to be in early November. So make sure that you double check any contracts, negotiations, anything like that. This would be the day to double check, so that you can see things with more clarity and more truth. And again, Mercury rules over Virgo, Gemini, and then it's in the sign of Scorpio. So those are the ones that need to be the most aware. It's not the direct, so no big worries. Remember, we have the October 1 vibration of new beginnings. So you still can get things started at this time. It's the new moon. You got the new moon and the 1 vibration backing you up. So it's still okay. You know, when we get to November, then I'd say definitely don't start new things. But you definitely can on this. So make sure you use this new moon that's coming up to write down your new moon intentions, especially intentions revolved around love, relationships, art, creativity, balance, and any kind of healing connections. And review anything that you may have going on legally or financially. Remember, it's like reviewing them all over again with fresh eyes. And then you can see things better when you have fresh eyes. Read things that you weren't able to read before. Now, it's also a very powerful moment when it comes to the world and resetting world partnerships. Policies, agreements, all that stuff comes into play. But remember, the globalists know how to use these transits and numbers to their advantage. So we always need to be mindful. Now, Mercury's pre-shadow is going to suggest whatever is seeded now is probably going to require some deep review as we step into the next couple months. So anything that's signed, like say they sign a peace agreement or, a final deal, I wouldn't take it as a final deal. Just don't. It's because it's not. Even if there's initial signatures that are written, it does not mean the deal is final. Just because they signed the paper doesn't mean it's happening yet. So just remember that, really important. There's going to be a lot of shifts when it comes to legal agreements between nations. We're going to see announcements that happen about new laws, hopefully not laws that are taking away more of our freedoms in speech. We're going to see announcements around partnerships, new partnerships. And again, peace accords can come in during this time period. This is also a time where the stock market will start to rebalance itself. That includes cryptocurrencies as well. I do expect at some point in October, there to be another big jump in precious metals. Keep an eye on them. And when they do finally drop a little bit, that'd be a time to even buy more. Physical things are the way to go. Always. I've been telling you for the longest time. Physical things, precious metals, survival food, real estate, physical things that you can hold on to that'll be worth something later. On October 22nd, we have Neptune entering Pisces, and it's the final transit. So this is the completion, friends, of this spiritual era, this end to this 160 plus year cycle. This marks Neptune's final return into Pisces before moving into Aries for good. And remember, there's more water for you, friends. More water, more emotions. So this is really a time of deep spiritual reflection. It's very powerful. And remember, it's a 22-day, too. That's a master number day. So this is going to really heighten your dreams to a level of potentially having prophetic dreams, dreams of future events. You can see a lot of final lessons when it comes to compassion. We could see a lot of illusions, not, the disillusions coming off the illusions, I guess you could say, being revealed. So that's a good thing. And when it comes to the world stage, I would say there's going to be major themes, again, around water. Water, water, water. It's going to intensify on that 22nd. I would tell you, if you got a storm or something coming in on the 22nd, you better batten down the hatches because it's going to be serious. So major themes also around religion, big pharma and pharmaceutical industry. Spirit just told me being held accountable, so I don't know what they're being held accountable for, but that's always good. We have to be aware of course, more media manipulation and that being caught. And then there's going to be a lot of oceanic disasters. You're going to see a spike in that, whether it's oil spills or other things that happen upon the waters. And this is also where people's emotional sensitivity is going to increase globally. That's not always a good thing. So make sure that you keep your emotions and such into check. Use this window of time for creative expression, for some dream work, some healing ceremonies and healing rituals, and this unconditional forgiveness. Let your soul speak, friends. Let your soul speak and stay plugged into your heart energy. When it comes to the reflecting on the world, Neptune's return to its home sign is going to bring this final wave of spiritual clearing. This mass consciousness is going to turn inward, whether it comes to art, religion, dreams, mysticism, spirituality. It's all going to be on the rise, friends, big time. And this can also indicate, once again, when it comes to ocean and climate events, big time ocean and climate events, which I expect to really kick in really hard when we step into November. But all beginning on the 22nd. Again, a master number day. I wouldn't even be surprised if we saw a big underwater earthquake and tsunami that came in on the 22nd of October with his alignment. Welcoming in this big alignment that's taking place in this big transit. So again, be aware of global water events, whether it be flooding, high sea levels and river levels. Tsunami watches definitely happening towards the end of October, especially again on the 22nd. And big spiritual awakenings. You may even see come into place, and I'd like to see this, maybe we should do this. Big meditation movements, like people getting together in large movements to meditate. That would be good, wouldn't it? That'd be great. You see all these religious people, Muslims specifically, praying in the streets. Well, why don't we go out and meditate in the streets? That'd be a good one. That'd be a good protest. Gather all the people together and sit in meditation. That'd be the most peaceful protest ever. Now, we could also see a return of long-lost creative or religious figures that just kind of show back up again. Maybe even some long-lost prophecies, ideas, all these things returning into the light. A little energy tip for you for the ending of this alignment on the 22nd. As always, you should follow your intuition, friends. Not the algorithms, your heart, your intuition. So anchor to spirit. Don't spin around in circles. Anchor yourself, stay grounded, follow your intuition, because you're never going to go wrong when you do so. Friends, I'd like to take a moment to welcome you to my channel and back to my channel if you're new here. My name is Joseph Tittel, aka Spiritman JT, spiritual medium for over 3 decades, bringing you this forecast and predictions for October 2025. Thank you for taking a quick moment to click that thumbs up button. Please do, because it helps the channel grow, but it also will help get more forecasts and predictions from perhaps other content providers onto your feed. So you want to do that. Also, if you're new here, you want accurate predictions, prophecy, truth, great content, you want to vibe with this awesome Tittle tribe, click that subscribe button, the bell and all, so that you get notifications. And remember, you can join me every Tuesday for Tuesday's Tea Time, where we talk about world events, what's happening in the world, and how it may or may not relate to past predictions and prophecy. Down below in the description, you'll find the links to all my social media, including you can find me on Spotify, Rumble, and all the social media platforms. But if you happen to get a message on social media and one of those private messages that appear to be me, especially if they're asking for something or offering something, that is not me. That is likely a fake profile created to appear like me. Please report those profiles immediately. And a big thank you to all the supporters of this channel, whether you're a member of the YouTube channel, monthly member supporter down below, whether you're a member of the Subscribe Star Awaken Your Spirit community of supporters, you can find that link down below in the description. All of those who help make this free content possible for everybody else. I thank you with infinite love and gratitude, friends. I am so grateful. Anything else? I think that's it. Let us move on to some specific predictions and visions for October 2025 and beyond. The month of October offers up great opportunity for us, friends, both personally and for the entire collective. Of course, this is going to lead us into several months of chaotic energies, intense chaotic energies, before the coming solstice, perhaps even preceding that solstice by a few weeks, which of course takes place on December 21st. And that's when a big shift in consciousness is going to take place, an amazing shift in consciousness. Basically, our next step into this greater awakening. Because remember, 2026, we step into the one universal year of new beginnings. New beginnings, new starts. But before we get there, I feel very strongly that major, and I do say pretty major, sun flare activities are not only reawakening the Earth's tectonic plates and volcanoes in the coming months, this is also going to bring with it, in the positive level, major light codes, which are ascension codes. It's like computer codes that go into our brain. And that's going to shift us into this state of, I could say, knowing, a state of knowing more or more knowing, a state of consciousness that's incorporated with more empathy and this strong feeling amongst the collective that we've had enough. We've had enough and we've seen enough chaos in the world, and we really need to step up to the plate and make the change. That's exciting. It's just getting there, of course, going down that bumpy road. This is going to bring more uprising of people, gathering once again to fight against these injustices, the globalists, and the global conflicts, and the global elites fight to push us into this global control grid, because it's what they're pushing us into. Now, the people, they're not going to stand for it. We are not going to stand for it in the control, especially over there in Europe, the United Kingdom, to be specific. That is where they are pushing this new digital ID system. Have you not heard? I'm sure you have. Basically, that is a control tracking system, friends. Basically weaving us into their webs of darkness, like prey to a giant spider. That's exactly what it is. And the folks in the United Kingdom, they need to resist. Otherwise, this movement, backed by the royals, King Charles to be more specific, and his friends at the WEF, the WHO, and United Nations, that's where it all comes from. Friends, this is a push. It may sound like conspiracy and rubbish to some, but this is a push into the mark of the beast. It's exactly what the digital ID leads to. Now, folks are currently, and more so, going to awaken to this agenda, and they're going to begin fighting back. Exactly what we need. And we must keep things peaceful, friends. So important. Keep things peaceful. Like I said, sit in the street and meditate. Don't buy things. Because that's what they want. They want chaos. They want us to fight back like we're in a combat or an actual war. That's what they want. It's what they thrive on. You should know that by now. But instead, we got to fight back with love, with community, and with the sense of resistance. Shut things down is what I say by saying no. Close your wallet. Stop purchasing from big corporations. And this is where boycotts are going to we're going to start seeing boycotts come into play. Big boycotts. So play along with them, friends. It's only going to help you in the long run. There's still those ones that are still going to play with the globalists. Not knowing, remember, there are those that are just not going to awaken. No matter how many light codes try to penetrate their brain, it's just not happening for some folks, friends. It's just not part of their soul contracts, and we have to accept that. And just stay in our own heart space. Now, major protests, especially as we step into the month of November. But that's kicking off this month, and some of them are going to get really, really, really ugly, especially with, military and police coming in trying to stop it, and shooting innocent people with their rubber bullets, which aren't always, they can be really horrible. They can even take your life. Just because they're rubber doesn't mean they're not deadly. But also those protests and resistances are going to begin showing up this month in the month of October. We're going to see more and more of that. I would expect that a big part of this would be the UK stepping up against this global ID when they pass it, because they're going to pass it. That's what King Charles wants and the globalists. That's their mark of the beast, I'm telling you. And then once they do it there, they get to push it everywhere else. They'll push it on every surrounding country, and we must be the resistance, friends. I see this happening in Australia, too. It just popped in my head. So I don't know what's going on with Australia with the global ID, digital ID, but I see it being pushed there, too. I only see part of Australia rebelling against it, not all of Australia. That's kind of interesting. So our friends in Australia will have to tell us in the comments down below which ones wouldn't rebel. Like, is there one area of Australia? I thought everybody was kind of mixed in, but it's almost like the state's jumping right aboard with the digital ID while the others resist. Be interesting to see how that plays out. Now, the first weeks of October give us all this advantage when it comes to planting our seeds and taking advantage of this month in a way that we wish for it to reflect in the month and in our lives in 2026. As I told you in the beginning of this forecast, plan things in October that you want more of next year. I travel for business and pleasure in October, so I get more travel in next year. Take more days off, so I have more days off next year. Do things, be around more family and friends and more joy, so that I get more of that next year. So remember that, really, really important. Because as we hit the date October 21st, this is when, again, that pre-shadow of Mercury retrograde comes into play. And also the new moon. Both kick in. So the energies are going to start to slowly become tense and really intense once again around that time, especially as we kick into the 30th of the month. Speaking of the 30th, I don't know what's happening on October 30th, but this has come up to me before. It feels like a very huge date. I just said this in the past week or two. It just popped in my brain again. And as things pop in my brain, they're usually the most significant, most important things. The random things as I'm doing this that pop into my brain. So the energies, again, they're going to start to slowly become tense. It's not going to become intense overnight. It's going to be like slow waves hitting the shore until the bigger ones come. We do have a little breather break this month. A little bit of a breather break. So take advantage of this breather break while you can, friends. I feel that the month of October, we are going to be met with two very unfortunate new conflicts being ignited. And a possible third conflict being ignited as we step into late October into November. I see United States conducting some type of bombing campaign in the near future. Kind of reminds me of the little campaign, it was short, but the little campaign they did on Iran. This is bigger, says the spirits. This is bigger. If I were to guess, this is just a guess, I'd say maybe Venezuela. Let's hope nobody at all. I thought, President Trump's supposed to be the peace president, he calls himself. It's not very peaceful, bombing other countries. But, they do what Israel tells them to do. Of course, the whole country's owned by Israel. But I see a bombing campaign in the near future. Perhaps a declaration of war. The positive aspect that I do say that I feel with this new conflict, these new conflict ignitions, is that they feel pretty short-lived to me, for the most part. Now, one of these conflicts makes me feel that I'm along a coastline. I don't know what to make of that. As if the coastline is being hit from out in the water, like somebody's hitting from out in the water, and from airplanes, of course. Perhaps even a hit on a big port, perhaps. I'm not clear on these. Although one does feel like quite a surprise, like a very sudden, surprising attack, not expected at all. So, or maybe it's a surprise actually who's in the conflict, not sure, but it just feels like a big surprise. And it feels like a big surprise in an unexpected way. So it is unfortunate, but there are 2, likely 3 conflicts that are going to ignite in the month of October. Speaking of ports, as soon as I mention this, I see this container that is literally being filled with explosive materials. And this is connected to some type of an ignition from a cellular device, as to the way Spirit showed it to me. And I see this container from a distance exploding. I see the flames and smoke and debris shooting really high up into the sky. And I cannot help but to feel that Israel is somehow either responsible for this, or it could actually be an attack on one of Israel's ports. Not sure. I would go for the first option, though. Being, they really like to blow stuff up, including people. I would go with my first one there. And if I were to take just an intuitive guess, I would say that this would be a port in Iran being hit. Did they hit Iran in the past at their ports? That's where that would be just a guess. But that's what I see. A big container that's filled with explosives. And the way I saw this, too, when it was exploding, it was like almost like it wasn't off the ship yet. It was like the ship was there. It might have even been exploding on the ship. But it was huge. Whatever was in it, it was huge. So I was holding the light that they catch this barge and this container beforehand. But as of now, it looks like this is going to blow sometime in the near future. Still on the subject of ports, especially with all the water influences that are going on now, that probably has a big role to play in it. But I had this vision of some type of a huge law enforcement raid taking place at a port. And I could hear in this vision gunfire, like I could hear pow pow in the background. And I saw law enforcement breaking into shipping containers in this vision. Some of these shipping containers were, of course, filled with drugs, but others were filled with people. And some of these people no longer had life, if you know what I mean. And this feels pretty big to me, like huge. As if I were in the United States, and if I were to guess, I'd say California maybe. But I may actually not be in the United States. I may be in a different country. I'm not sure. I was partially pulled to the Philippines. It's just I was pulled, and it could be more than one if I'm pulled to 2 separate places. So I have this feeling that hundreds of people are rescued. While at the same time, it's a huge break in some type of a huge case and a huge blow in the long run to the cartels. A huge blow and a huge win for humanity. This is a bit disturbing, but I had this vision where I saw this passenger plane being shot down. And it almost looked to me like it was being shot down with a laser more than it was like a missile or something. And it feels to me very somehow connected, of course, to Russia. Now, this could either be because it's a Russian plane, passenger plane being shot down. Could be the other way around, where Russia is the one responsible for taking down this aircraft. But something felt really, really shady around this to me, really shady. Very likely some type of NATO involvement as well with this. And it feels like, of course, a horrific tragedy that will be written off as some type of a horrible accident, or they'll try to say it's an accident. Oops, didn't mean to do that type of deal, something like that. But I feel like repercussion will take place, like somebody's going to go after them, however this plays out. Doesn't look like a good situation. And it could actually be an accidental thing, because I can't imagine that anybody would want to shoot down a passenger plane full of passengers. But there again, you never know with the evil that prevails in this world currently. Can't wait till all that evil falls. I had this vision that I was sitting in a house. It wasn't even my house. It wasn't even my telly, because I don't have a telly. Not like this. Big telly. I was sitting back watching the telly. which I rarely do to begin with, and I don't even have a telly that's like permanently in my house. And suddenly, I saw the emergency alert system go off on the television. And then I heard the cell phones go off in the background as if there were multiple in the house I was sitting in. So I don't know whose house I was sitting in, but that was my vision. And then I glance over at the telly and I see and I hear, this is not a test. This is an emergency. Stay tuned for a public address. Now, I don't know who the public address was coming from, but that's what I heard on the television. And it was English to me, come to think of it. There again, if it was another language, I wouldn't have understood it. But yeah, I don't know if this is, I could not tell if I was in the United States. I would believe, I was, being as I live here. But part of me feels like this could be somewhere in Europe. I'm not sure where, but somewhere in Europe. And maybe one of the NATO countries, perhaps United Kingdom, France, maybe one of those. Regardless of where it took place in my vision, it felt like a bit of a panic. Perhaps connected to some sort of sudden attack, warning citizens to stay indoors and stay tuned for updates. I cannot help but to feel that the emergency address would, that's, and what I saw in the vision, it said, stay tuned for the public address. I could not help but to feel that address might be coming from the President of the United States, or maybe even an artificial intelligence version of the President addressing the nation. So being as that came to my mind too, I'd say that's probably going to be the case where, we're going to get an AI version of President giving an address. Interesting. The things they can do today. They haven't mastered it completely yet, says the spirits. Not yet. Speaking of which, I feel like something really big is coming with AI. Almost like we could compare it, we had the pandemic in 2020, right? Big awakening. Something awakened the people with that. People changed. The world's a different place. It's like a totally different paradigm now. It feels like a paradigm shift. Something happens with AI, probably something that freaks people out, that shifts us into a new paradigm. That just came to me, that feeling, and I got overwhelmed with it. So I'm not saying this is all happening in October, but I'd say this is probably likely playing out between now and the end of the year. So we have to keep an eye on that creepy artificial intelligence. I feel major media outages are coming, with media specifically. And many of these feel kind of intentional. And I would feel this would be more likely to occur in the latter part of October, and more so when we step into that super intense month of November, because we have that Mercury retrograde direct in November, which does affect communications, and media is a form of communications. But I still feel like this is playing out towards the end of this month as well. The media pops out very, very strongly to me. So not only the media outages, but also cyber attacks that are going to occur on media outlets. Even like a cyber attack and a breach with Disney, because that just came to mind. A data breach with Disney, or one of Disney's corporation companies. And some type of cyber attack revolved around that. And being that we're on the subject of Disney, I see some kind of outage at the parks. Maybe a power outage, some kind of issue with power in one of the Disney parks. They have a lot of them now. There's one in California, there's one in France. There's a bunch of them now. Not sure where it is, but I see some kind of big outage around Disney's. And that just popped in my mind, by the way. Just popped in my mind. So going back to cyber attacks on media outlets, but also a lot of controversy around media. Separately, I feel that there's this person, this didn't feel good to me, with a pow-pow, perhaps two persons, barging into some type of a media building during a live broadcast to cause some type of fear and interruption. Not sure what country I am in, but I see this vision and I see two people with these masks over their face. And I feel like they're radicals of some sort, obviously some kind of radicals. At the same time, when I'm receiving this vision, New York City came to my mind really strongly. And when I tap into New York City, I tap into media chaos that's coming there. And I know a lot of media broadcasts out of New York City. I'm not saying that that's where these people were going with pow-pows. I'm just saying, it could be two separate things that I'm picking up on. But I see something happening, Perhaps the attack could be a live media show that occurs in New York City, or it could be some other type of coming outages and cyber attacks that are occurring in New York City. New York City definitely jumped out at me. So lots of things happening around media and unfortunate pow-pow type of events. I see some type of military exchanges taking place on the waters. There we go with the water again, friends. And I feel one of these has got to be the Black Sea. The Black Sea, and then I hear submarines. Submarine spirit just says to me in my ear. So there's something with submarines, I would suppose, with the Black Sea as well. While others feel to me to be more north with problems on the waters, I'm going to say this is likely coming out of the China Sea, because I feel one of these exchanges that's coming on the waters is Chinese aggression, and China trying to, flex their muscles. While the other one I see, and that could actually even be close to Taiwan too, because that just popped in my mind, problems off the coast of Taiwan with aggression. So there's two aggressions happening there that I'm seeing with China. I also see this military ship taking on fire. And I had this sense that the people on the ship were trying to flee, like abandoned ship, abandoned ship. So I don't know, this might be on the Black Sea again. And then I also felt some type of concerning military movement happening on the sea and in the sky that's taking place along the Caribbean Sea. So I don't know what's happening in the Caribbean. I didn't see exchange happening. I just saw military movement on the sea and in the air along the Caribbean Sea. And I don't feel like there's, again, necessarily any kind of exchange on that sea. Hopefully not. But that's what I was seeing in the areas of these conflicts and exchanges happening on the waters. I see a massive, and this was huge, friends, a volcanic eruption that felt to me like it truly shook up a whole area pretty greatly from the earthquakes, causing quite a significant earthquake nearby, likely multiple. This feels like a record breaker to me, like a big record breaker, perhaps also the awakening of a sleeping giant. Now, remember, earlier this year, I predicted that we would see volcanoes that haven't erupted in hundreds of years begin to awaken. Spirit said the sleeping giants will awaken, was the Spirit's exact wording. We saw this happen not that long ago, was it August? With the eruption of the volcano in Russia, which is still causing constant daily earthquakes and some pretty big earthquakes. So that volcano is not done. And that was a sleeping giant that awoken. Well, I see another that's going to soon awaken. And I see this massive eruption also happening in Indonesia, another smaller eruption happening in Japan, and something beginning to brew beneath the waters nearby a coastline. This coastline could be near Japan. I had this vision of this bubbling coming up from the sea. And yeah, I've had similar visions throughout this year, of course. But this vision was stronger to me, much stronger. And as visions get stronger to me and more clear, it's usually the closer we are to witnessing these things coming into fruition. So again, late October into November, it's going to bring with it some large upticks in activity when it comes to earthquakes and volcanoes. I see this vision of this headline that says, cyber attack takes out city. I had a flash of this, and then I had another flash that said, cyber attack darkens city. So close. Cyber attack takes out city, and another cyber attack darkens city. I'm sure it's the same city. Part of me feels like this is likely could be between Ukraine and Russia, perhaps. But it could also likely be Russia being behind this coming cyber attack on a city. And I'm strongly pulled, of course, to Europe. And I'm kind of stuck between Spain, France, and the UK. And remember, we saw what happened with the outage with Spain and France earlier this year. And I've been pulled to that area a couple times since. So it could very likely be that particular area. Or somewhere in the middle, between Spain, that whole area of Europe. In the middle, not sure. Could be all three. But it feels short-lived, thankfully. Doesn't feel like it's long. But long enough to bring major problems, keeping, police and fire and people very, very busy, keeping things under control. So keep in mind that some of my predictions don't always happen for example, in the month of October. And when I was working on this, I was focused more on the remainder of this year. Mainly October, but the remainder of this year. And, with many of these, I hope they don't come into fruition. But here's one I do hope comes into fruition, and I have no doubt it will. I see major breakthroughs in gene therapy that's going to help. It's going to get help from artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is going to be amazing when it comes to our health in the future. That's one good aspect to AI. It's going to make amazing breakthroughs that big pharma and big medical aren't going to be able to hide from us anymore, like they try. So I see this breakthrough in gene therapy that's going to help with the help of artificial intelligence. And recently, I did make predictions around future cures, like cures for diabetes, for example. My feeling here is that we are coming into these new discoveries, amazing new discoveries being made from, being discovered from AI systems that are actually going to help in turn identify the genetic causes of many diseases. And in turn, it's going to allow medical professionals, scientists, this ability to not only prevent these diseases from childhood moving forward in the future, but also it's going to help doctors, scientists, medical professionals to come up with specific gene individual cures based on, your own individual genes, I would imagine, your genetic makeup. It's like a form of gene therapy, but there's new breakthroughs. And I know they're working on this in some form or another, but Spirit says big breakthroughs. And we'll hear an announcement of one of those big breakthroughs this month in October. Something definitely to look forward to. Last month in my September forecast, I predicted a chaotic situation would take place at a university in the United States involving a pow-pow. Likely, I thought that it may be somebody on a roof. And sadly, we all are aware of that horrific September 10th event that took place at a Utah university in September. Very well predicted. Sadly, I see something very similar taking place again at an outdoor engagement. I don't think this is at a university necessarily, but it's an outdoor engagement with a speaker up front, at a podium. I believe it was a male. And I'm a distance away. I actually felt like there were two people up there, so I hope it's not two separate things. Because at first I felt heard the male voice speaking, and I was like in this vision standing way back in the distance. It was outside. Looked like it was kind of set up kind of on a street, blocked off street, obviously. But then I heard a woman's voice in the background, so I don't know if they're standing there together or if I'm mixing two separate things together, which sometimes can happen. But a distance away, I could not clearly see through the crowd. But again, I heard also multiple shots that rung out. And then I saw people begin to scatter. And I feel that for some reason, the police are really nearby when this happens. Like they're right there, close by, because they rush in really quickly to gain control. And I felt like it was a nice day weather-wise outside where this was taking place. People seemed to be in regular shirts, didn't see coats or anything, so it wasn't cold. And it also felt like to be a Saturday to me for some reason. Felt like a Saturday in the park. So hopefully this don't play out, but we are going to see more people falling in power as this year progresses until we go through the rest of this year. Remember the 9 vibration, endings, death of cycles, the fall of leaders, people being taken out, resignations, so forth. So lots of interesting things are still yet to play out on the global stage. I feel something very strange occurring around the moon. That's right, the moon. And I really couldn't quite put my finger on this one, friends. I couldn't put my finger on it. Other than perhaps maybe some type of really strange or rare occurrence around the moon. And I felt like, to me, like many people were observing the moon. Many people were trying to look through telescopes and observe and look as close to the moon as they could. So perhaps some type of strange activity on and around the moon being photographed and witnessed by many people. Again, I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but it felt really interesting, strange, and kind of revealing at the same time. And many people are trying to look at it. There's something going on there, right? Something going on there. So we'll have to keep our eyes to the skies and to the moon. I had this vision of this rocket taking off, whoosh, but as it was taking off, blew right up. taken off, blew up, and I felt two different scenarios, actually, that are on the table with this. The first version appeared to me to be like a satellite launch that just kind of went wrong. Perhaps actually a SpaceX launch would make sense. Or perhaps even a Bill Gates launching his satellites. Did you know he's doing that now? He wants to put up 65,000 satellites. Yeah, like they are going to surround us like crazy, friends. But whatever this is, it backfires and it explodes and it falls back down to the earth in my vision. And I believe, or at least I was hoping, that falling down went into the waters or into the ocean. And then there was another incident. And this incident was like a misfiring of a large missile of some sort, like a backfiring of a missile. It might even be sabotaged missile now that I think about it. But what I saw in this vision is, the missile, they go to shoot off the missile, and it goes up a little bit, and then it comes right back down and explodes right on top of them. So my assumption would be that this would occur somewhere between Ukraine and Russia. It could also have something to do with what's happening in the Middle East. Not sure. But the missile came back down and landed right back on them, almost like it was programmed to do so. Interesting. I feel like I see some type of what feels to me like it's accidental, like, stumbled upon. And it's a discovery that's coming from beneath the sea. And it feels like something old and forgotten to me. And until all of a sudden these underwater divers kind of stumble upon it. I don't know what they're doing under there, but I feel like it's an accidental stumble upon it. And I think this may be either part of a crashed plane. That was my first feeling, first instinct, a crashed plane that hasn't ever been found, or even a lost ship that hasn't been found, like a ship that disappeared and we don't know what happened to it. But it felt like a big deal. Whatever it may be. Like, this is important. Look what we found. And it's not because there's treasure on it, but it was because of where it came from, if that makes any sense. We'll just have to see how it plays out. Now, back to the waters, because lots of water-related events are going to be taking place in the coming months, and especially in October. And I have this vision of this coastline, a beach coastline. And I saw people in white hazmat-like suits collecting washed-up debris from the shoreline. It was really strange to me, friends, really strange. And it was all taped off with yellow tape like a crime scene. And it felt to me like they were recovering maybe wreckage of some sort that washed along the shoreline. Not sure, friends. Not sure what the white suits are all about. Not sure, but it felt to me like it actually could be some kind of debris or even remains of folks from a plane crashing into the waters, for example. And then all of it comes in onto the shore, including, unalived folks. That could be perhaps why they have hazmat suits on, for contamination reasons. I don't know. I felt like I may be somewhere in South America, perhaps, maybe Brazil. And Brazil's just an intuitive guess, but it's really strange to me. It looked like something out of a movie. And it was definitely from something that crashed and washed ashore. So we'll have to see how that ends up playing out. Maybe it has to do with my earlier prediction of the plane being shot down. Maybe that ends up over water. Recovery efforts. Don't know. But again, we'll have to wait and see. Even though October is the one vibration of new beginnings, we still are bathing in that 9 universal year of endings, friends. So things that do not end in the 9 vibration as they should will abruptly end when we are in the 1 vibration. So we can still witness these abrupt endings that are going to take place in this month. And again, even in early next year. And this includes, as I predicted in the past, and as we witnessed in September, many assassinations and assassination attempts. I see somebody being poisoned. I said this before, but it just popped in my brain again. Someone will be poisoned, a world leader. Maybe it will be Putin. Because Putin's in his 8th year, and in October, he goes into his 9 vibration of endings, death of cycles. Now, that could also bring an end to what's happening with the conflict, although I don't feel like that's ending anytime soon without seeing a tactical nuke going off first, unfortunately. So, again, we're going to see many assassinations and attempts, as we have. And as I said, we would see in September, and we did, unfortunately, with the whole Charlie Kirk thing. So, more and more folks we're also going to see stepping down, resigning, and straight up being fired. Again, we're in that one vibration this month. So those that didn't leave last month like they should have are going to be forced out in the month of October, and not in a comfortable way at all whatsoever. So, and take this as an ending for yourself too when it comes to personal. If there's something that needs to end with your career, business, October's a great time to start new. End it and start new. Build from the ashes. Remember, don't try to resurrect. Build from the ashes. Some significant dates that pop out at me for October is first starting with the date October 3rd. For whatever reason, it feels like a very strong date, as do also the dates the 10th and the 11th of October. And I know the 11th is a Saturday, I'm pretty sure. The 10th would be Friday. But the 10th and the 11th jumped out really strongly to me. And then also the 21st of October. And it would be around the 5th of October where we could see some type of a major event taking place when it comes to, say, a large earthquake, tsunami, deadly storm systems. And I would look out for that again on the 11th and on the 21st. Same scenario. Now, October 29th through the 31st feels like a very important window of time. So I would expect some big things to happen in that window of time. Now, the 30th is a date that's been jumping out at me for the past few weeks, and that plays right in the middle, October 29th, 30th, 31st. So the 30th feels huge, like something really big is happening on October 30th. That has this ripple effect on the entire globe, of course. Now, I could push that into November 1st and 2nd, but let's just, the 29th of October to November 2nd, let's just focus on October for now and that window of time. The 29th through the 31st feels to me, again, like an important window where I would expect multiple global events to take place that may actually determine the new direction that we are heading into November. And not even November, but also into 2026, excuse me. Now remember, October is a reflection of next year. I can't stress that enough. It's such an important month, both personally and collectively and for the global stage. So take advantage of this, friends. Personally, by doing things in October that you want to ripple throughout the year in 2026 for yourself. So you want to, again, travel more? Take a little travel. Even if it's a short trip, take a trip in October. More days off? Take some days off in October. You get the picture, right? You get the picture. So I truly hope that you take advantage of these amazing energies and transits that are flowing in for us in the month of October. And on the world stage, let's hold in the light that there are peace talks and peace things, because that'll just ripple into next year. Whereas if there's new conflicts that don't get resolved, it just shows us that next year will be a year full of conflicts. We don't need that. It's the 1 year of new beginnings, just like October is the 1 month of new beginnings. And I hope that you set off on an amazing new beginning in the month of October. Well, friends, I very much hope that you enjoyed hanging out in the Love Shack for October's forecast and predictions. Remember, you can catch me on Tuesdays where we do the updates on predictions, prophecy, and world events and what's happening and what's going to happen. So you got to stay on top of the content if you want to stay on top of the predictions. Be sure, if you're new here and you want to vibe with the tribe, smash that subscribe, the bell and all if you haven't already. And if you have, welcome to the tribe, baby. And a big thank you to all the supporters, again, who make this free content possible for everybody else. Whether you're a monthly supporter on the YouTube platform as a member down below, whether you are a member of the Subscribe Star Awaken Your Spirit community, and all those that contribute to this channel, I thank you with infinite love and gratitude. I hope you have an amazing month of October, and I hope all of this information helps you to flow through this month with ease and a joy, helping you reach new levels of abundance, joy, and happiness. That's what it's all about. Stay in your heart space, friends. Stay in your heart space. Until the next time, friends, remember, be bold, be true, be kind. Be you. Let your light shine ever so brightly. Have a beautiful rest of your day and a beautiful month of October. Namaste and much love, friends. Much love.